welcome to VMblog's coverage of KubeCon, CloudNativeCon, North America 2025. Today, we have the pleasure of having Ajay Khanna, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Yugabyte. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on this show.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Maybe you can start off by kind of introducing your company and giving us kind of a quick overview of the technology.
Absolutely. Yugabyte provides Yugabyte DB, and Yugabyte DB is an AI-ready multimodal distributed PostgreSQL-based database, and which is really important for when you are building highly resilient, high available, and geo-distributed applications. So yeah, I mean, I'm throwing a lot of words in here like AI ready as well as a multimodal. So we can definitely double click into some of those items, right? So when I say multimodal, what we refer to as that you can use various, so we have a query layer where you can use SQL or even use a Cassandra query to interact with NoSQL data. We also support MongoDB layer to get interact with your document data, for example, as well as we have our own vector store as part of Yugabyte DB as well. So it's kind of a multimodal database where you can run your business critical applications.
Now, as we're here to talk about the upcoming KubeCon event, if you
Yes.
could, for any KubeCon attendees or people interested in interested in the KubeCon event, talk about what specific problems they might be facing that your company solves for them.
I think at the highest level, it is all about building modern AI application, right? And that is the theme that we are bringing to KubeCon is that how distributed PostgreSQL is really evolving for AI era. So if you see in the market, PostgreSQL has been like one of the most popular databases out there. So there was a recent survey done by Stack Overflow. More than 49% of developers love and prefer PostgreSQL. And even if you see, for example, building AI application, Postgres is one of the top or most preferred database out there. So that is something that is happening in the market. But on the other side, as applications are becoming more and more cloud native, and the whole idea around distributed transactional databases is evolving, emerging, and getting more popular. So how these things kind of like come together and how developers, app developers, or database engineers can leverage these technologies to build the applications of the future, right? So that is something that we have been working on for past over a year. And that's something that we really want to showcase at KubeCon that, yes, we have this, we are 100% Postgres compliant database. But what we have built is this cloud native distributed database, which is AI ready. So now you can build your AI applications, your agentic applications, your RAG applications on Yugabyte as well, in addition to your traditional transactional applications, which provide like all your asset compliance and that consistency that you need from RDBMS systems as well.
Now, you kind of talked about, some of the use cases for Yugabyte DB. Can you kind of maybe walk us through a real world example of a success story with one of your customers and how they're using the technology?
Yes. So let's talk about some of the initiatives, right? So when we talk to our customers, there are like bunch of initiatives going on in the enterprise. Some of the customers are doing their database modernization, like they want to move from like MySQL or move from like generic Postgres over to cloud native distributed SQL architectures, or they want to move from like Oracle or DB2 or even Sybase into like modern architecture. So there is like database modernization going on. On the other side, they want to really modernize their applications. And then third category is building net new applications. And the reason this modernization is happening is that during the shift to cloud native and geo-distributed applications and everybody going digital, So the whole idea of building the application on monolithic database, which can only scale vertically, that means that you keep on adding more compute power, more storage, more compute power, and then there's a limit to it. And that does not work anymore, right? So they need to find new way to build their applications, which are highly scalable, which are very resilient, which can take any kind of like failovers. What happened earlier this week with AWS going down, we all saw that. And but to do in those kind of situations, right? Because those things will happen. It is not AWS fault. It is not anybody's fault. I mean, you can just walk into like data center, trip over a cable, and a zone will go down. But then it is how to build that resilience into the architecture. That is what we are bringing to the table. And some of our customers, right? I mean, for example, Paramount Plus, like 3 years back, I think it was 21 or something, Super Bowl. They had like some outage of like 6 or 7 minutes while streaming Super Bowl, and that is not good a customer experience. So they said, okay, how to really prevent that problems for happening in the future? And at that time, I think maybe 65, 70 million people lost the streaming for maybe 6 or 7 minutes. And the next year, when they kind of like deployed on Yugabyte DB, there were maybe around 120 million users joining, logging in, logging out at different periods in time, right? Because everybody doesn't join at the same time. Everybody doesn't log off at the same time. Somebody will join in the beginning. Most of the people will join the halftime show and somebody doing the ceremony at the end. So you have to manage those kind of like peaks and valleys in your application, in your databases, and you cannot design everything for like maximum because things will scale up and scale down. So those kind of like use cases are really critical. And whether it is for customer like Kroger, and there are like multiple banks, right? So for payment processing applications, for fraud applications, for user login applications, for like money transfer application, mobile payment application. So where the transactional consistency is really critical, where resilience is really critical, where availability is really critical, where geo-distribution is really critical, that's where we come in, right? So those are the kind of like very interesting use cases that we are solving here.
Now, KubeCon and CloudNativeCon is
Yes,
it's a great event. It's been growing year over year. Every year we go. Brian
absolutely.
and I are amazed at how many companies are there, how many people are sponsoring the event. So there's going to be hundreds of vendors showcasing their
Absolutely.
technologies in the solution
Absolutely.
showcase.
Yes.
How does Yugabyte differentiate its technology from all the other people that are there? And what is it that makes your company and your technology unique in the market?
Absolutely. I think the differentiator that we normally talk about. So let's say that there are database solutions which are like Postgres compatible. We are 100% Postgres compatible. And then there are like database solutions which are like very cloud native and highly distributed, for example, Spanner, Google Spanner, right? But then there is this intersection of that where you want highly Postgres compatible because that is the database of choice, and it has like a really big ecosystem. It has like a good community. It has like great set of like drivers and extensions and libraries that are available. So we bring those two things together. So if you think of Yugabyte, Yugabyte DB I would say we are the only AI ready multi-model cloud native database, which is like 100% Postgres compatible and distributed SQL database. So that is our kind of like differentiator out there. But more than that, it is the kind of applications that our customers are deploying on Yugabyte, right? So that is really differentiate us from some of the other uh, uh, vendors out there. And also, as I said, that's this whole aspect of multi-model, right? So do you want to have like one database for your transactional load, one database for your documents, one database for your document chunks for AI, one database for your vector embeddings, database for your NoSQL? I mean, you can do that, but that again increases your database sprawl, right? How to really kind of like build this modern application, because one application will need all this type of data. It has transactions, it has like images, it has like built-in chat GPT kind of capabilities. It has like built-in documents in there. So how to really bring everything together to build this modern application. So that is something that we are delivering.
Great. And kind of maybe sticking to the technology side of things, for the more nerdier guys who are going to be at
Yes.
the show, when they come to your booth, what are going to be some of the features that you'll be highlighting or innovations that you think will be
Yes.
interesting to them?
So first of all, we will have like more than a booth there, right? So we are doing our distributed SQL Summit on the day one or the day zero, right? So where all the co-located events are on November 10th. So we have a full day planned for those for that particular day on November 10th. So it's an Omni Hotel right next to where KubeCon is. And on the whole day, the the core theme is how distributed Postgres is evolving for the AI era. So what we are bringing is how the database needs to be AI ready as well as AI enabled. So we talked about AI ready databases where rather than using vector store, you use the database with vector capabilities where you can store your document chunks as well as your embedding to create a Gen AI application. So that is one part of it. But then database itself, the database management, the performance tuning, everything, the migrations, those are also being powered by AI. So if you think of like, for example, our performance advisor, now that is an agentic app, right? So it really tells you that how your databases are doing, how your clusters are doing, what is the health, doing the anomaly detection. And really you can interact with the database as you're interacting in natural language, right? Like just like ChatGPT. Or if you have to move and migrate from like MySQL or Oracle or Postgres to Yugabyte DB, we have like similar kind of like agents in our migration tool Voyager, where you can interact with natural language and do schema migrations and database migrations and find the kind of like differences or issues during the migration, just and solve those as you're interacting with the with an application in natural languages. So those are the some of the things that we are bringing in with us, and we will have like 4 demo booths at our summit, and people can go and try these things hands on, build their application and try these kind of like performance advisors and even migrations right there. So it will be kind of fun event where you get to like touch and feel all these latest technologies.
Yeah, that's perfect. Everybody, I think most people, if they come into a booth or whatever, is they're looking for some of that hands-on experience. So I think that'll be great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, one of the things you mentioned, AI, agentic AI. I know that's a hot topic right now. What are some of the,
Absolutely.
if it's, more of the same, but what are some of the key trends that you guys are seeing take shape in 2025 and beyond? And how is it, how is the roadmap at your company aligning with those
Yes.
type of developments?
What we are seeing is that there is a lot of experimentation going on right now, right, at the enterprises. And we have seen recent studies, like there was a very popular study, I think it was a couple of months back by McKinsey, that like 75% of projects are at experimental stage, or I think other studies saying that they are failing. And it is not about the failure, it is about like really uh, evaluating the possibilities, right? That what are the possibilities for AI? And I think it's pretty exciting times. Like we launched our own MCP server where you can just interact with the database in natural languages. So how these things will come together and how it's going to really impact how we build the applications, how we interact with the applications, how we build and interact with the databases, for example. So that is something that is really interesting for us, and we are building more and more on that. Other pieces, the whole idea of like multi-cloud, or not just multi-cloud, inter-cloud, right? So if you're deploying application, what is the role of like multi-cloud or inter-cloud in there? Again, like some of the uh, outages that we had in one cloud, can you still run your application if you're running the same application inter-cloud, right? And from the aspect of resilience, but also the aspect of cost optimization, or even doing like cost arbitrage as you are moving your workloads from one cloud to the other cloud during different peak times, right? So there is so much interesting stuff you can do there. I think that is something very interesting. And but on non-technology side, it will be interesting to see that how the policies are emerging, right? Because a lot of time when I interact with some of the enterprises, they're still trying to figure out, for example, what are the compliance implications of AI? What are the legal implications of AI? Which models can you use? Which models you can't use? Which LLMs can you use? Which LLMs you cannot use? And for which purposes, which LLMs can use and who can use in engineering versus what can you use in marketing versus what you can use in sales? So if you have to kind of like deploy AI, believe me, there is a lot more uh, roadblocks from the compliance and legal side than on technology side, right? So technology is moving much faster as always, right? And the legal and compliance and governance is still catching up to that. So it will be interesting to see in next couple of months and year that how these things come together and the AI kind of like really becomes reality in like mission critical core applications across the enterprise.
Now, for attendees that are going to be coming to your booth and stuff to look at your product and that are
Yes.
considering using Yugabyte DB, what would you like to have them take away from that as the main key factor of why they should choose you guys?
I think the key thing is this core things, right? I mean, as we discussed, right, the whole need of this ultra resilience is very critical and it cannot be bolted after the fact, right? The whole idea of shift left, right? So when you think about ultra resilience, when you think about scalability of applications, you need to build that resilience into the architecture. That is really critical. And as if you are kind of like an entrepreneur and you're launching your new application, and as we say here in Yugabyte is that don't let success the reason of your failure. Don't let success be the reason of your failure. So if you like immediately your application is successful and you get like 10 million logins in a day, you will crash. So you need to prepare for that. And the only reason to prepare for that is not buying more servers. It is making an application which is elastic, which can scale up, scale down based on your needs, right? So thinking about those architectural requirements for resilience, for high availability, for business continuity, for scalability, for elasticity, going up and going down is like really critical. So as you're building applications, as you're making your architectural choices, make sure that you are putting those things into your consideration as well, so that when you're successful, you're ready for that, right?
Now, before we let you go, you've already given us a lot of great information about the company and the technology, but I'm a visual guy. Brian and I will be at KubeCon and we'll come take our, the hands-on experience to see it in person. But for the folks who are watching this video who may not get a chance to come to the show or, for whatever reason, missed your booth, hopefully that doesn't happen. Uh, can you give us some kind of a demo of the product so we can, get a visual of what it
Absolutely.
looks like?
Absolutely. In this demo, this is a short demo, but you will see a couple of core things that we talked about, right? You will see the whole idea of like resilience that, okay, if when you're launching an application in a distributed environment and if one node goes down, how the application just is not impacted and it is like business as usual. And the second part which we just talked about was this unexpected success. So if you need to scale and you want to kind of like really grow this application right away, how can you scale and how you can be elastic? So these are like two key things I just wanted to show, and you will see in this demo.
Great.
In this demo of a social app, we have a service that uses a multi-node cluster across 3 availability zones in the United States, West region. What if we simulate a zone level outage by shutting down the node in the US West 2B zone and see how the application responds? First, let's put our application on a heavy load. By starting the workload simulator, you can see users continuously sending in posts and share pictures on the social network. Next, we see on AWS console where the virtual machines with Yugabyte DB nodes are running. As planned, let's simulate a zone level outage by terminating the VM in the US West 2B zone. The VM stops and the node is down. Jumping back to the Yugabyte user interface to confirm that one of the nodes is down, yes, it is the node from US West 2B zone. However, this outage had no impact on cluster operations. You can see a minor drop in operations per second and a brief latency spike. Both lasted for a few seconds while the cluster was selecting new tablet leaders and rerouting requests. What about the application layer? Has our application even detected the outage? As you can see, users continuously share posts and pictures, and there was no request failure. Double checking with the charts, we see the same story. Every request succeeded as if no outage occurred at all. Now your mission critical application is ready to weather any storm in the cloud, be it a zone level or regional incident. Next, let's set outages aside and focus on scalability. What happens if user signups on our applications skyrocket and there is a surging application request? That's precisely what is happening with our application right now. Tons of users have signed up for the network, and the infrastructure can no longer keep up with the application request. Now we address this bottleneck. It's simple. Let's go ahead and scale our Yugabyte DB cluster by provisioning an additional virtual machine with a new database node. The new node joins the cluster shortly and is ready to handle the user traffic. Take a look at the operation per second metric. It's fully restored and set for new traffic. The mission critical application is ready to withstand various outages and scale on demand when necessary.
Well, that was a great demo. Thanks for doing that. Before we end this, I just want to ask you, first, thank you for taking the time out to speak with VMblog and giving us that great update ahead of KubeCon. But for folks who are going to be lucky enough to attend the event, are there any final thoughts from you that, as far as making sure they come by and visit with Yugabyte DB and see, what else can they see?
Absolutely. No, I would really like to invite all your listeners to come and join us at our 7th annual Distributed SQL Summit. We have like 10 or so sessions where leaders from like various hyperscalers, e-commerce companies, financial services, and will come and showcase how they are developing these distributed, highly scalable applications. We're going to have some fun there with like happy hour, and you can also print your own t-shirts there. But after that, from November 11th to 13th, we will be at the exhibit floor at booth 1030, and our experts will be available on hand. So come and visit us. Looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Perfect. And, thank you again. And like I said, Brian and I will definitely be swinging by the booth to see you guys in person.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.